Hey, this is Emily Strangis, and I'm the voice of Athena Monde, and you're watching BakuTalk.
Hello, brawlers, and welcome to the BakuTalking Longer Podcast. I'm Haru, and today I have another special guest for you. You might know her as the voice of Athena in Bakugan Evolution. She has also appeared in Take Note, which is on Peacock right now. Streaming right now, but here she is, the voice of the Evolutions girl herself. It is Emily Strangis. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so good. Thank you so much for coming on. And I know it's really late, but I know you came back from Cuba recently. So how was that trip?
Yes, I did. That was fun. That was my first time traveling after. I think I feel like it was like at least 3 or 4 years since I had gone on vacation. So it felt very healing, and Cuba just has such amazing communities. And so it was great to sort of, go off the resort and, see the real Cuba and just like meet really cool people from all around the world. I've met people from Italy. I met people from Brazil. So it was really fun. It was good. The water was very healing. So yeah, I loved
it. Was a relaxing time.
It was good. It was very relaxing, yeah. But also adventurous. I was super adventurous on that trip. I went scuba diving. I went off-road in a Jeep or something like that, and it was like we were like going through the city of Matanza, and like it was just very. I was like a yes woman on that trip. Every time it was like, do you want to do this? I was like, yes. So I...
You want to jump off a cliff? You're yes.
I swam with dolphins. It sounds... don't call PETA on me, but I swam with dolphins, but it was in the middle of the ocean, and it's sort of like an open water. Anyways, so I was very adventurous on the trip. Snorkeling, I did snorkeling, but yeah. Anyways, it was all very adventurous, and water was very, very healing. So yeah, it was good.
Oh well, welcome back from Cuba. I'm really glad you had fun. It really seemed like you had a fun time in Cuba. So really getting down to business, you are the voice of Athena, and already one season of Athena, her debut in the Bakugan Evolutions, you have already captured the hearts of every single fan of Bakugan. How does it feel getting that kind of reaction?
Well, it's really like it really warms me, honestly. It just like the fact that like people connect with her and like her, and I think I loved when the first episode aired, and I could see that there was a lot of tension and I don't want to say hate towards Athena, but there was some dislike there, I think, but then seeing that sort of like connection with Athena sort of grow, and people started to really like her, and realize that maybe she's not as cruel as her words can be. It was really warming. It was nice, and she brings out so many crazy parts of myself that like I feel like I'm so opposite of Athena, but also like it's great to just sort of I can't even explain it, but I love that people love her, so, and I love her, so.
Oh yeah, she's definitely had quite the journey, and only like 15 episodes. Like we're halfway through Evolutions already, as of the time of this recording, and she's already had like a really great development arc, really great story to her. I like you mentioned the first episode of Evolutions that aired, which like in reality is kind of like episode 2-ish.
Yes, technically. Well, and so I guess if you're looking at it that way, so the episode 1, the special episode, we recorded that at the end of Bakugan, or like the end of our sort of recording sessions.
Oh, what?
And then, yeah, so episode 2 was actually the very first episode that I recorded as Athena, and so it was really interesting getting to do the first episode last, technically, because I felt like then I knew sort of how her character arc was going to go, and so it felt like episode 2, I'm almost like super like abrupt and like very, very Athena Monde, if you will, and then getting to do the special episode last, I felt like I could bring a lot of like nuances and sort of like little moments that kind of show a bit of like her trajectory and kind of could carry that through, I guess, in the first episode. Second,
sort of like plugging in the holes of what we think would have happened, or what we expected to happen, or so.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So yeah, but it was definitely interesting in terms of that.
But the very first episode, Athena, I think what won me over the most was her very first line. How do you think you could be a teacher? You're barely qualified to be a student. I'm like, damn. Yeah,
she's harsh. It's so like, I feel like Hermione Granger is like my sort of inspiration for Athena, because it's very like, I think that even though it's like this abruptness, like it's in a sense, it's like her truth of the matter, I guess, which is very harsh at times.
She's just
but also like, it's very straightforward. And I think we start to see that like, it's not coming from an ill-intentioned place, which I think is important too. Cause I mean, I wouldn't want to like play a bully or, you know what I mean? Something like that, where, words hurt, and I don't think Athena means to like put people down, but it's like, she's so passionate about what she believes in. And so it's, and she'll kind of say what she is on her mind and speak her truths, but it's also, sometimes it's the way she says it, is not very nuanced, if you will. So yeah,
she doesn't sugarcoat things pretty much.
Oh, absolutely not.
And I think really we understand what her character goes through. Like we get a look into a past. Like there's an episode, Athena's Wish. I think you said that was your favorite episode, because
that was my favorite episode of recording, and because it gave me the opportunity to really understand her past and what makes her so cold, in a sense. She's kind of she's been shut out from so many people, and it makes sense. And in a way, I felt like I really connected with that aspect of Athena, because I didn't have a ton of friends growing up, and I found like, I was shut out for like wanting to be an actor, and and people used to like pick on me and laugh at me, and and I had like a horrible experience growing up as a kid, like, and so and sometimes and this is what I mean by I connect so much with Athena, and I didn't even realize. So this is all in like sort of real time experiencing like what Athena was going through, and then realizing, oh my gosh, I'm like this girl. And even though I'm I probably have a bit kinder of a kinder approach to things, it makes sense as to why she shuts off from people, and why it's hard for her to make friends and sort of gain the trust of people. And Athena's Wish really was my favorite episode to record, because I also felt like it gave me an opportunity to, in terms of like my performance and stuff, to really kind of show all sides, like getting to record like mini Athena, like baby Athena, and then also like her, this sort of like really strong version of her, and like connecting with Blitzfox. And so yeah, it was my favorite episode. It was also the first episode that I got to see my work. They the producers of the show, they graciously sent me an early cut of and they were kind of like, don't share with anybody, of course. And and I literally did not share with anybody, and I was able to kind of like see how my work was coming along, because it's the recording experience is quite isolating. Like I don't see anyone in the show. It's actually quite strange. I know so many of the people on the show, but I've hardly met any of them. So yeah, it was nice to be able to watch Athena's Wish back and feel proud of like what I was doing, and so yeah.
When you say that you haven't like really met any of the people that record with you or record the shows with you, your fellow actors, it really it's like it's because of the pandemic, right? It's like they're still doing like isolated recording, like recording from home.
Yeah, pretty much. So I go to the studio to record, and UCal is probably the only person I met, like, because our sessions overlapped. And so I was able to meet him, but there's a lot of people on the show I have not met. I've never met Jonah. I've never met Julius, believe it or not. And like we talk online all the time, and we like keep in touch, and I see like his commercials and other things that he's doing, and but yeah, I haven't met a lot of people.
Even though your character is the most savage towards Jonah.
I know, maybe they're avoiding me.
I'm pretty sure they know it's not personal, it's just character, right?
Of course.
But when you first got Athena, you did the audition, you got casted and all that. Did you know what you were getting yourself into? Did you know you were going to be part of Bakugan, which is like a production that's probably kept under wraps, probably the same level as like Marvel and Star Wars? The story's kept under wraps behind closed doors. Did you know what you were getting yourself into with Bakugan with such a fan base like this? Is like eager for spoilers.
No idea. I had no clue. Like, and also Athena wasn't the character I originally auditioned for, which is kind of crazy. But the first tape I sent in, I remember like getting the audition, and I was really like, oh, I want to do a good job with this. And I think I auditioned back in like 2019 or 2020 maybe.
Oh, really? So when?
And I remember. Yeah. So it was for the season before Evolutions.
Bakugan
it was Battle. Bakugan Rising.
Oh.
And so I had auditioned for a character, and I remember like doing it, and I was like, I want to do a good job with this. Like, and I recorded it. Because at the time I was like in the middle of a move, and I think it was during the pandemic, I want to say, and I remember like recording underneath the covers in my bedroom, like, and I like kind of isolated. I wanted it to sound really good, and then I sent in the tape, and I remember my agents, I'm pretty sure they said that they liked what I did or whatever. Never heard anything, and I remember spending like so much time on it. I wanted to make sure that I got like the sort of tonality of the show right, and sort of brought something, different. And so anyways, didn't hear anything. And then all of a sudden, like the audition back in 2021 came up for Athena, and they were kind of like, they said, we just want to hear her read for this. But it was sort of, it felt like it was like, I don't want to say it was already set, but it felt like it was, I had a very good shot at booking the role of Athena. And so I sent it in, and then didn't hear anything for like a couple months. And then like all of a sudden it was, hey, you booked it. And I was like, whoa, like, and it just felt like so crazy, because I was like, I remember like I have my agents on a VIP email, so I have all my notifications on my phone turned off, but I have a VIP email from them. They love that. And so it came up, and it said, like Bakugan, like it was like a sort of, and it said, "Dear Emily, you've booked Athena," and it was like, "Congrats!" And I was like, and I remember like running into my mom's room, and I was just like, "You got to get up! You got to get up!" Like I was so excited about it, and and then I went into the first session, and and also I had done two very different takes of Athena. So I did one that was closer to the voice that I do for the show, and then which was kind of reminiscent on my first tape that I submitted, and then there was something that was just totally opposite, way more like dark, I guess. And so I was like, do you know which voice that they liked? Can I, like, how do I sort of prep for this? Like, they're like, just bring yourself to the first session. And we sort of got to work on it a little bit, and they liked they let me listen to, I guess, the take that they liked best. And that was that. So yeah, it was pretty interesting.
And I gotta say, that casting was perfect. That I definitely cannot imagine anybody else in Athena's Athena's voice. Definitely really great job,
so
and
nice.
it's really great work for Athena. Definitely great casting choice. I do know though, like I do speak to some of the other voice actors as well. You know, I speak to Julius all the time. I speak to I speak to Devin and all that. I do know you did, and I'm not saying who told me, but I did hear that other people have auditioned for Athena before, and I do know, I do know there are other people that have auditioned for Athena before. And then when we heard that voice in that Teletoon promo or the first trailer, when it first aired, everyone was clamoring. They were like, "Who's voicing Athena? Who's voicing Athena? Who's the voice of this? Who's the voice actress? Is it Margarita again, or is it Stacy?" And I really remember there was people that thought it was Anasani. I'm just like, no, Anasani does not sound like this. So we were just waiting for the first episode to air, and we were just we just want to know like who voiced Athena, and because the very first line that we heard, and I think Athena, like her design was leaked out before, so her early design was leaked out. But we didn't know who was voicing her because I don't think they've announced it yet. But then the first trailer came out, and then the first episode came out. Then we see it's Emily Stranges.
It's me. Yeah, and it was when the first episode aired. I was still recording the season, and then I remember like obviously, I guess like the behind the scenes. You know, we know some stuff, but we also know nothing. Like, so it was kind of crazy. Like when it dropped, I started seeing stuff on Instagram, and I was like, oh my god, did like somebody leak the episode? Like, I had no idea that the network like released it early, because I knew that it was going to Netflix sometime in April. I think that was always the sort of like deadline, I guess.
Oh yeah, right.
And then they played episode 2 on air, and then it didn't come to Netflix until after. So I remember like going in being like, is this did we air, like, and you know, and then they're like, yeah, I guess they just went ahead with it. So I was like,
they didn't
okay.
Tell you that they were putting it on Teletoon or Cartoon Network in the
yeah. So I had no idea. So it was nice to kind of like finally like share. I would have loved to have sort of, I guess, shared it like simultaneously with the release of it, but it was sort of nice to be able to be like, oh, this is now out, and this is what I've been doing and working on, and you know. But
now you can finally talk about it. How relieving was that, actually?
It felt like a well-kept secret on my part. So, because I was kind of like, you know, it's such a big show, and like, I mean, you sign a whole bunch of like NDAs and stuff, and so even like doing this, I'm like, am I allowed to say half of this stuff? But I also know that, you know, I don't mean it ill-intentioned. So, but yeah, it's very like, it's kind of wild. I also didn't realize, I guess, like how well received the show is. Like, and I remember like going to piano lessons as a kid on my lunch breaks, like in growing up in elementary school, and then at like 12 p.m. or something, or 11 a.m., that's when they would play Bakugan. So I feel like I grew up with the show in a sense. Like, I don't remember full on like, you know, being a hardcore Baku brawler, you know, or Bakugani, but I do remember like watching the show. So it feels in a sense like full circle almost, you know, getting to be part of it and knowing that like I did watch it as a kid, and so it didn't also feel like unfamiliar territory. Like sometimes I find like you really have to figure out the worlds of what you're working on, like just in terms of like who your character is and the like how they perceive things, and I didn't have to like do as much, I guess, research on Bakugan because I already knew quite a bit about it, I guess. So but yeah, so it's really cool.
It's so great though that you're at least familiar with the show beforehand. I know there are a lot of people that this is not the first time that Bakugan has attempted to air. This is a reboot, and already it's doing like it's going extremely well. It's becoming an evergreen brand for Spin Master, and it's so so fitting though that you mentioned watching the show, because your partner Bakugan Blitzfox is voiced by Stacy DePass, who is a Bakugan veteran. She did do a voice in the Legacy series. She's the Bakupod. So how great does it feel to be paired with a Bakugan veteran like Stacy DePass as your partner Bakugan?
This sounds so crazy, but I didn't know that Stacy voiced it until the show aired. Like, I had no idea. I didn't really know who was playing certain characters like while I was recording it. So it's sort of, I feel like I found a lot of this as the fans of the show did. You know what I mean? In a sort of,
Yeah. And Drago Jason is Jason DeLine, and he came back for the reboots. You got some, and I feel like and I really feel, I've said this a lot of times in the previous interviews, that the reboot is definitely a chance for like newer voice actors to really show their craft. That next to the reboot, I discovered Julius Cho, I rediscovered Devin Mack, and Asami.
And Amos too. me. But even Amos, like, I didn't realize that he was on the show, and Professor Faustus, I didn't realize that he voices him. And I've worked with Amos growing up as a kid. Like, he was like my acting coach for years, and I had no idea until it's sort of it was after the fact kind of thing. So.
Yeah, how did it feel to be reunited with him? A teacher and student is now a teacher and student in Bakugan.
Yeah, it feels very fitting for sure, because it's like, I think just that dynamic, and I guess obviously, like, you grow to care about your coaches. Like, I mean, I countless of times, like, you're so vulnerable in the pieces that you work on and stuff like that. So knowing Athena sort of has that deep love and care for Professor Faustus. I keep wanting to say Dr. Faustus. Professor Faustus. It's nice that, I know that the voice behind that is Amos, and so it's like that connection is, it runs deep, because I've known Amos since I was like Athena's age. So, you know what I mean? Like, I think I was like 10 or 11 when I started working with Amos. So we go way back.
Oh, that is so awesome, and it definitely does come like full circle. And I think that you and Amos Crawley have a really great dynamic. It even shows on screen too. There's definitely chemistry between you two, and I definitely think it really comes from the familiarity that you two have. For sure.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's also just so strange that, like, we're not all live in a booth sort of doing the work together. Like, it's so like I just go into a session and I do all of just my lines, and every once in a while they'll sort of play, like, if there's sort of like a trio cheer of like everyone says yeah at the same time, then they'll play me the clip, and that's about as close as I got to like hearing the other characters' voices or other actors' voices and how they sort of
And sometimes,
presented.
Sometimes you might be the first one to like record that line, so you can't hear you. They haven't recorded that, so you don't know.
I'm setting the tone for it. Yeah, it's so strange. But it's also really cool, because it feels like it's like I use those sessions and those days to like really focus. And it's like, I feel like sometimes it's easy to get distracted by like, especially like when I'm doing like principal work on camera, where, there's so much going on and the flow of set and stuff like that. And there's, lots of people and movement, and whereas this feels very like narrow and like just really, it was really good. So I liked how focused I could be and really just hone in on the work,
And how great is it working with Susan Hart? She's like the voice director of Bakugan. How helpful is she with your journey?
she is the best. Susan is, I really, especially when we would sort of, there'd be like breaks in between, or, you know, a couple, like I would have one session, then a couple weeks would go by. And then, so Susan always kind of like brought me back into Athena. So I felt like she's like the anchor of the show. Her and Matt, they just really, those are who Matt is the producer of Bakugan, and he had like the entire arc of all of our characters. So he was always able to like answer specific questions and sort of get to talk about like the trajectory of like where certain arcs were going to happen. And then Susan would, you know, just bring out different aspects of my performance that like I probably wouldn't try or bring at first, or if I would do something, she'd be like, yeah, like let's really hone in on that. And I think, and also like as time went on, like they're also incredibly collaborative. So if I, you know, showed up and thought like, I feel like Athena would say it this way, or, you know, maybe like the line is this way, like they were very receptive to bringing my own thing to the character. And that's not something I'm kind of, I guess, used to in a sense. Like I feel like usually it's like stick to the script and, you know, try not to go too far off, and you know what I mean? So it was like, Susan's just amazing. Like I really I hope that, you know, I can get back in the booth with her, because she's really, really great. And also just like a total pro. Like this was my first, as you were saying, Bakugan, the reboots, they give the opportunity to new voice actors, and that's exactly what's happened here with me. And so it's she has like a lot of great like tips and tricks. So I feel like I'm learning like a ton as I'm going, but also getting to bring a really creative element to it, you know?
I really like how you said that Susan allows you to like have an input to what your character is, because I feel like that's what really makes Athena work. And I think that's how I feel about like a lot of other characters. They don't just stick to like what was given to them, you know, they want to have input on their characters and what they want to do. And I really think that really fits well with Athena, because we get a lot of Athena savage moments.
Oh, yeah.
Emotional like, damage.
I love when you create those things. Like it's so good. So good. They're so funny to me. And sometimes like when I'll like bring something in, or there'll be like a line, and you know, and I'll read it, and I think me as Emily, like my sort of instinct to things is approach with care. And you know, like, so sometimes like when I'll do the first delivery, it's not as savage, and then like Susan, you know, will say like, you know, like a little bit more snippy, like, you know, she's sassy. and then we'll do it, and then like hearing back, I'm like, oh, they went with that too. You know, so it's like, it's really cool to sort of pick out certain moments where it was, you know, it's like snarky and very, you know, and I'm like, oh, okay, you know, and it works, it's fun. And there's also like,
just gotta dig deep and just be like, you're a real joke, or we don't need some internet clown getting in our way.
Yeah, there was this one line in the first, the special episode, so actual episode 1, and it was towards the end, and Dan's like, yeah, like we did it with like the awesome brawlers or whatever, and then like I remember like recording it, and it was like, and Professor Faustus, and it was like this like little like sort of, and I remember like Susan and Matt both just like were like, you know, dying of laughter, just, you know, because it was just so like, not you, you know, and it's, and that was, of course, like towards the end of it, and you just sort of, just as you're getting comfortable with it, like it's over, you know what I mean? Oh. So it was a real journey, and just as I was like, you know, it ended.
It's really helped you like break out of your shell, huh?
Oh yeah, like, and by the end of it, I felt like it really just like sort of rolls off the tongue, and you know, and just very you just get comfortable with it in a sense, you know, and then
I feel like that's what you should do at if you like appear at conventions. You know, you meet the voice actors of Athena right here. It'll be $5 for a autograph, $10 for a picture, $20 for Athena to say something mean about you.
Oh my god! Could you imagine? I don't think I would have the heart. I'd be like, you know, we'll save it for the show. But also, I feel like that's crazy. I feel like I charge people. That's just DM me on Instagram.
Oh my god! Besides, I don't think conventions are really happening that much anyway. But you know,
I know it's so sad because COVID, but safety first, I guess.
Yeah. But Blitzfox, I know a lot of people. Blitzfox's toy is already out, and people are buying it. I know. I have Blitzfox in my deck.
Oh, amazing!
Yeah, and I'm always like, damn, I should really tell Emily about this. I wonder if she got one.
I have to go out to a Walmart or a Toys R Us where they sell them and really pick some up, because I feel like it is. I think for me, like, as you can see, my crazy bookshelf above me. Like I have like stuff from a whole bunch of different like productions that I've worked on, and I feel like, you know, I've got a Baku binder over here, you know what I mean? But I feel like having like that tangible, you know, Blitzfox, or like I would love if they came out with like a vinyl pop like little Athena figure. That's
the pop vinyls.
Dream.
Yes,
the pop vinyls. Yes, I want
Pops.
one of those. I want them to make one of Athena, but because also, funny enough, as you were saying with like how, you know, trying to keep this secret of Bakugan or whatever, back in October of, I guess it would be 2021, I was like, man, and I used to have brown hair, and then I had booked a role on the Hot Zone Anthrax, and so I dyed my hair for the role, which is super cool, but I like never had blonde hair, so I feel like I also have glasses that are reminiscent of Athena, so I feel like I've actually almost like manifested like Athena, obviously me like resembling my character has absolutely nothing to do with like me actually booking the role.
Right.
But it's funny that like over time, I feel like, you know, I'm like, how cool would it be if I just dyed the ends of my hair pink for like Halloween and dressed up as Athena? But of course I couldn't do that because nothing was released about it.
Yeah.
So that would be a little, you know, but I was like, you know, if I wore like my glasses and then did like little pink ends or something, maybe people would think I'm like Ladybird, but you know, Greta Gerwig's Ladybird, but it's so reminiscent of Athena. And I'm like, I can't wait for this Halloween to see if, you know, I don't know, people dress up like her.
Oh my god!
You know, or if maybe totally I just dress up like her. I'm like, that would be so cool. And I remember coming into the session and I was telling Susan and Matt, and I was like, how cool would that be? They're like, you got to do it next year. And I was like, for sure. So,
yes, you have got please, yes, please. Us fans are thanking you.
It'd be so cool. It'd be so fun. And I always see like the like cosplay sort of people dressing up and stuff, and I think it's like the commitment is amazing, you know.
You even got fan art now. Yeah.
I love that. Every time I see it, it makes me so happy, because I'm just like, and like I can't draw. I'm not a good artist. I can, you know, it's I mean, so I just really seeing it and just like the talent that's out there, you know, and I just think it's amazing. I think it's so cool, and like I love it. I want to like plaster my walls with them, but I take screenshots of them, and I have a little album in my camera roll.
Oh wow! So, I see them on my Instagram story all the time too. Yeah,
because I love them. I genuinely like just can't get over it. And I know it's weird because it's like the I don't know the name of the artist who like made Athena, but like, you know, and I recognize that like how cool maybe it is or maybe not. I don't know how that really works, but like in my mind, it's like somebody made Athena and then people are drawing like their versions of Athena. But then I'm also like, it's my voice who like, I guess people recognize with Athena. And so it's so cool. It feels like, you know, the drawing is one thing. And I guess like, the personality has come from me. So I guess I've like, you know, made her a real thing.
Pretty much whenever people hear your voice, they'll immediately think Athena.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at without sounding like total.
Yeah, it's and it feels really great to be. It feels really great to have your identity painted on there like that, huh?
Yeah. It's like it's really cool, and also like I feel like I said, like I feel like I didn't like growing up. I didn't have a ton of friends, and like so knowing that like people really love Athena, and then like they're tagging me in the photos, like it makes me feel like that there's people out there who like me, and and it's like, it's really like I want to like just hug them. And yeah, so
we really love your performance as Athena, and we're only like, I think as of the time of this recording, only 18 episodes have aired so far, so we're almost done with Evolutions, because I think there were only 25 to 26. But we're almost done with Evolutions, and we're sad because we want more.
I want more. I have no idea if there's more, but I want more. But yeah, it's also, I had to take a minute to realize that like Netflix has only released half the series or the season.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I almost spoiled something. And then I realized I should go in and watch like what the last episode is, like that they have out there. You know what I mean? So that way I'm not getting too ahead of myself. So yes.
So far as of the time it's recording, we're on the episode where it's like not really important. It's Huxley and the Masters of Disasters episode. And that's where we're at right now. That's as of the time of this recording. But we're seeing Athena. We're seeing Faustus come back next week, I think. But I
gotta reference my binder. It's so crazy because it's like there's so many, and then there's the A show and the B show. So there's a lot that happens. There's a lot. I also love the little like side episodes that they kind of put in where you kind of get to know a bit more about like the character's personality with like with Athena and the dog Lightning.
Oh yes. That
was really funny. That was fun to record.
How ironic was that you're playing a character that's afraid of dogs, but you're a dog mom yourself?
I'm such a dog mommy. My dog is actually sitting on a chair staring at me this whole time. She's just been watching me quietly.
Are you scared of her?
Yeah. She's just sitting watching mom talk to a screen.
Are you scared of the stare?
No, I love her so much. I'm like, come over here. But yeah, it was really funny. It's also, I think like that's the joy of like getting to pretend or like be different characters and stuff, because it's like I'm terrified, like me personally, I'm horribly afraid of spiders.
Same.
Where I currently live, there's a lot of like forested area, so there is a lot of bugs, which is fine, but it's the spiders. I cannot deal with spiders. And when I first moved here, I was laying in bed and all of a sudden I just saw this thing on my wall, and I had come from living downtown where there was like, I had no spiders at my old place at all. No bugs, no nothing. It was super great. And I saw this spider and I almost, like, my body went into shock. I started to scream, and then my building security called me and was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I saw a spider." And then they're like, "Are you sure? Are you okay?" And they were trying to check in on me, and it was like, because it was like it was like a shrill scream. It was horrible. So I feel like part of the embodiment of, being afraid of lightning actually is me being afraid of spiders, because I love dogs so much. So sometimes you have to kind of, close one eye and then, pull from something else to make it feel a little bit more true.
Gotta tell you something. There's a spider Bakugan.
Nope. Notice how I've got Blitzfox and not a spider? That would be very...
It's called Webum. In the first season, it was one of Julius's Bakugan, actually.
Of course it's Magnus. Of course. He's got like spider-like hair almost.
So in order to beat you in a Bakugan brawl, all I have to do is have the spider Bakugan on my team.
Ooh, oh my gosh. Maybe Athena's a little bit more strong, but if you're fighting Emily, then done. You win. I would probably like drop out of the battle before I even got there, because I'm just bye. It's kind of funny. So
I kind of want to do that prank as like, hey, it's like I just put the spider Bakugan in here, and I'm like, hey, Emily, there's a spider right here, and then you just run off. Emily, it's a Bakugan.
It's not good. I hate spiders so much. Oh my gosh, do you have it?
Yeah, I think I have it. I don't know if you're gonna jump on it or hang up or something.
No. But yeah, I mean, that I'll give it to it that looks cute. But if that was a real thing, like people who own tarantulas, no hate, but like, why?
Oh, I see. Yes, I see that too. Yes, I see that on YouTube all the time. People have like pet tarantulas, and like I'm
just really.
I think it might just because I know I'm protected behind a phone screen and I'm just watching something, but I'm just I'm like deathly scared of spiders as well. But sometimes when I watch those videos, I like feel something on my leg or maybe on my neck.
I'm like starting to get chills. I'm like, what's going on?
Maybe something. Maybe I'm
like
there is a spider
starting to look in the corners of. Right, I'm like starting to look up, like check all the corners and make sure there's no little webs forming. Anyways, I've like totally had to spray my plates down because I was just like, I can't have spiders, and I know that they're really good for the ecosystem, but nope. No. But anywho,
just keep them away from me.
yeah, keep them away. Back away.
So when it comes to Athena, what do you feel like you learned really about yourself when you played this role as Athena?
I feel like I said, she brought out a lot of elements of myself that I didn't know, I guess I had within me. I think there's also a level of confidence that she has that's really, like, I feel like typically, like, I'm not really a totally confident person, and I've tried to like really work on, you know, self-worth and having that confidence in knowing that like you are capable and you are worth it, and you know you can like quite literally be who you want to be, and I think Athena brought out this element of confidence, because also in the delivery of like how I would say things, like I feel like she really has to like know who she is and why she is sort of approaching things in a certain way that's authentic to herself. And that confidence, like, I mean, it had to come from within me, right, in order for it to be real in a sense. And so I think getting to like be in the booth and really just kind of like I felt like my posture, even like when I would deliver things, like my nose would sort of be like, haha. And it's not in like I'm above you, and you know, in that sense. It's more so just like like a prideful like proudness, you know. And that was just something I was like, wow, like I need to adopt part of that into my everyday sort of you know, confidence. So, and I think just being like authentic, and I think that's what I love most about Athena, and what sort of she brought out of me, and that confidence and authenticity, and also just she's a very passionate person, and you know, she follows the rules, and she's very smart and intelligent, and she's got a lot of like, when you look at her core, I think there's just a lot of things that I resonate with, and really enjoyed sort of getting to adopt those elements and kind of think about how maybe they should play into my everyday life a little bit more. But like I said, I think, but she's also very harsh, you know, in some of that sense. So aside from that.
But yeah, she is definitely confident. she definitely seems like she puts the weight of the world right like on her shoulders, and that's kind of what I found.
I also, and I think in a sense, like that's how I feel about like acting and working in film and TV. Like we sometimes take on so much, and there's this sort of you have to have the ability to really push yourself and get up and do it, and there's like it's a weird like addictive sort of thing that happens, and I think like that weight of the world that she sort of has, I've always felt that with being an actor, and sort of this like prove 'em wrong sort of mentality. that I feel like she really is proven wrong, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, and there's nothing really wrong with that, but it's an important thing to remember, especially when it comes to, like, in Athena's case, saving the world. Is that you got people to help you along with that, right? So.
Well, I think that's the thing that the Awesome Brawlers do for Athena is they make her realize that, like, you can't do it on your own, you know? And I think that's a really sort of hard lesson for Athena. I don't know if she'll learn that this season, or if maybe she does. I'll leave that sort of, you know, we'll get to see what that trajectory looks like for her. Yeah, but that's really, yeah, like, and sometimes, like, I'm very independent, and I don't personally like asking people for help and having to, you know, and I like take on so much. And then sometimes I like overload myself to the point where it's like, just ask for help, like ask for extra time and whatever. And I think that's something that Athena and I share in common. And then, but also, like, you know, at least with Athena, like we start to see that, you know, maybe you can't do it all on your own, you know. maybe.
And is that something that you plan to take with you when you work on your next project?
Probably. I feel like that's like an ongoing realization and thing that I need to work on. Yeah, I constantly, I have my friends around me like reminding me that, like, well, sometimes you need to take a moment and take a pause and, you know, breathe and relax, and, you know, and I'm such a yes woman that I'm like yes, but it's also like a fault of mine where, okay, now I've totally overloaded my system and I'm exhausted, you know, and then I'm like, sleep? What do you mean sleep? You know? And it's like you get in these, which is why I went to Cuba, because I needed to just take time to myself, you know? And relax.
So a couple more questions before we wrap this up. Mm-hmm. So without giving anything away and without violating your NDA, what can you tell? We still got like 7 or 8 more episodes of Evolutions to go as of the time of recording. Right. What can you really tell us about what else Athena would be up to for the rest of the season?
Which episode? Because I'm gonna quickly do a little Google before. What episode are we on right now? Because I don't.
17. We were at the one where Athena had the Cabo crush.
The Cabo crush. I love that episode. That was really funny.
All right. I wanted to ask you about that. Like, how was that? Was recording that episode?
That was so much fun. I did like a bunch of different like Cabo reactions, and I was obsessed with like the Jonas Brothers as a kid, so I felt like Cabo was like Nick Jonas to Athena, or to me as Cabo is to Athena. You know, this very like Cabo, you know, and this like I love you, Cabo, and also like I love the fact that like the 2 sides that we see to Athena, or the 3 sides that we see to Athena. The first is like this like, you know, I can do it myself, very confident, sort of, you know, almost like Miss Perfect in a sense. And then we see her with this fear of dogs where she just completely loses it, and it's just like we don't recognize her because it's like, how are you afraid of dogs? Like, it's a dog, you know. But then she loves a little bear, this like plushy sort of, you know, thing called Cubbo. And and then we see her just like totally go googly-eyed. And I love that that's sort of like those 3 things that I've gotten to sort of explore within her character. So I loved that. That was fun. That was just a fun little day of recording. And then, but what can we expect from Athena? Well, I definitely think we see part of like her character arc, and I think the way this show sort of how we see her journey, and I think we get a full view of her journey as Athena. And I mean, I'm sure that there's like people are going to question, like, is Athena the evil thing this season? Like, is that her? And it leaves you sort of maybe questioning still. but I also feel like we do get a bit of an answer with that. And I also think like we see how she really has to challenge her morals and beliefs in a sense where, gosh, this is so hard without spoiling. Hang on here. Like I'm personally like really happy with like Athena's story arc, and I think it's quite satisfying. I think it answers a few questions, or maybe it'll disappoint some people. But I think expect the unexpected.
Oh boy.
Maybe.
all right, everybody, watch Evolutions weekly because Emily Stranges herself says there's something unexpected.
I don't know. From Athena or maybe somebody else. I don't know. That's my way of not trying to spoil.
But you instead turned this into a commercial for Evolutions.
Next week on. No. But yeah, thank you so much for having me on this. I really love Bakugan, and I'm so thrilled and grateful to be a part of the show, and I feel like it's a little family of people. So
yes, definitely, and definitely thank you so much for all your work as Athena, and I really hope that she comes back for next season. I think a lot of us actually really hope she comes back for season 5. Because
I hope so too. That would be so fun.
She's that entertaining, and I feel like that there are layers of Athena that we still don't even know yet.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
and I feel like
I truly appreciate you coming down to do this podcast, and I really feel like the fans are really connected more to Athena more than ever now.
Thank you so much, and thanks to all the fans who make the fan art. I love it. So and thank you for your like reviews and podcasts. I watch them a lot.
Oh really?
Because I'm always like I feel like it's a great way to like know where we are with the show without like me either spoiling something. I hope I didn't spoil anything. That would be horrible. I don't think so. I feel like Athena is Athena.
I'll run back through this, and then I'll be like,
yeah, maybe just
she definitely didn't spoil anything.
Perfect. But yeah, no, I think it's really great. So I'm super stoked to be a part, and thanks for having me. This was a great way to spend my Saturday. I love it.
Thank you so much, Emily Stranges, for coming down to the show. I truly appreciate it, and thank you for your work as Athena. And I can't wait to see what other projects you're working on in the future. You want to plug your socials in? I believe they can find you on Twitter, Instagram.
Yeah, Twitter, Instagram is just at Emily Stranges, EmilYStranges. And then I have a Facebook page. It's Emily Stranges page. And I think I am on Discord now. I see my Baku Montreal. Got them on here, so if you want to connect via there, you can maybe plug my username. I have no idea how to use Discord, so please disregard my that. Yeah, I don't have MySpace, so we're good on that front.
Who uses MySpace anymore?
I don't think anybody has it. But yeah, I think Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Yep.
Thank you so much, Emily Stranges, for coming down to the show. And thank you all for watching this BakuTalking Longer podcast. This has been Emily Stranges. I've been Haru Ren, and thank God for Rapid Fire.
Bakugan Brawl!